Hi, and welcome to this edition of Financial Victory in Minutes. This is video 2 in a 3-video set about rebuilding your credit. This video will show you specific steps to rebuild your credit. Did you know that the vast majority of credit reports contain at least one error? The first step is to make sure your credit report is correct. So get your credit reports from each of the 3 major credit reporting agencies, or CRAs. They are Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Every person is entitled to 1 free credit report per year from each of the 3 CRAs. Be aware that many companies imply a free report but charge you for other items. The only true place to get your free annual reports is from the central source at annualcreditreport.com or 1-877-FACT-ACT. Once you have your credit reports, know what to check for. If you completed a bankruptcy case, check that all creditors discharged in your bankruptcy show 0 balances. Credit reporting agencies, or CRAs, are not necessarily required to report all truthful information about you, but they are prohibited from reporting untrue information. For example, if you filed bankruptcy, some accounts might show the notation "included in bankruptcy," while other accounts don't. The ones that don't show this notation are simply not reporting information that's true. But as long as all the debts discharged by bankruptcy show 0 balances, the information is not false. Most negative items should only show up in your credit report for 7 years, after which time they should be removed. Exceptions include bankruptcies under Chapters 7, 11, or 12, which can remain for 10 years, and tax liens, which can remain for 15 years. Another common error is when a bad debt is sold to a collection agency or other lender that then reports the debt as if the 7 years were just beginning. Be aware that paying off a debt is not a reason for it to be removed from your report. But having an item appear on your credit report when it should be removed is an error that can be fixed. Federal laws give each of us many important rights in regard to our credit reports. The Fair Credit Reporting Act, as amended by the Fair and Accurate Credit Transactions Act, or FACTA, prohibits most employers or potential employers from getting your credit report without your prior written agreement. The law also requires that you be told if information in your file is used against you. Whenever a credit application or insurance is denied based upon a credit report or other consumer report, you must be told the name and contact information of the company that supplied the information. The law also requires credit reporting agencies, or CRAs, to correct errors that you point out to them in your credit report. Now, let's look at the best way to correct errors in your credit report. First, you should be able to refer to a copy of the report from the CRA in question. Telling a CRA that a lender told you something was on your report isn't the same. Remember, the only way to get your free annual reports is to go to annualcreditreport.com or call 1-877-FACT-ACT. There are companies that call themselves free and aren't. Second, write a letter telling the CRA and the creditor why the information is wrong or too old to be reported. Be specific. Whenever possible, attach some form of proof or support that defends your position. Examples are copies of bankruptcy discharge papers showing that a creditor was included in your bankruptcy, or an old credit report showing negative information reported on the same debt but by a prior holder of that debt. Now you have compiled a packet that includes a copy of that CRA's credit report with the error noted on it, your letter telling what is wrong and how you want it to be corrected, and copies of any supporting documents. Never send originals or your only copy. The third step is to send your packet to the CRA and the creditor or lender at issue. Although the CRA is required to inform the creditor of the dispute, sending your packet to the creditor is a good backup for a number of reasons. Hummingbird recommends that you send your packets via certified mail, RRR. That means Return Receipt Requested. This will cost a little more, but you'll receive signature cards proving that the CRA and creditor got your letters and when they received them. The CRA generally has 30 days to investigate your claim and respond to you. If you can't resolve a dispute, you are entitled to add a personal statement of up to 100 words. The CRAs must display this statement on your credit report until the dispute is resolved. If a dispute is resolved in your favor, you can have the corrected credit report sent to anyone that asked for your report in the prior 6 months. See the FTC's website at ftc.gov for more information and for sample dispute letters. Information from your credit report is used to calculate your credit score. Since your credit score begins with your credit report, we've just gone over the important first job of getting and correcting our credit reports. But there's more to reestablishing good credit than just our credit reports. Lenders use 3 basic things when deciding whether or not to give you a loan and how much to charge you in interest and other fees. They use your credit report, your credit score, and other factors of the lender's choice, such as debt-to-income ratio or length of employment. But of all the factors lenders use, your credit score is the single most important one. Credit scores are not free. As of 2011, they cost about $20. Far the most widely used credit score is the FICO score from Fair Isaac and Company. Hummingbird recommends that you do not spend money on a credit score other than the FICO score simply because many lenders don't use the other scores. The FICO score is the one that is most universally used. You can order your score and learn more at myfico.com. Be aware that other middlemen companies offering credit scores usually try to charge you for other things or sign you up to an unnecessary monthly subscription service. FICO scores range from 300 to 850. The higher the better. A small difference in your credit score can make a huge difference in the amount that you pay for a large loan like a mortgage. Let's take a look at the items that make up your FICO credit score. 35% of your credit score is based upon payment history, whether you paid on time and the seriousness of any delinquencies. 30% of your credit score is based on the amounts you owe, including the percentage of credit you have available versus what you've actually used. 15% is based upon the length of your credit history. This takes into account how long you've had your accounts and how long it's been since your last activity. 10% of your score is based on new credit, opening new accounts, and lender inquiries or requests for your report. The final 10% is based on the type of credit you have, whether it's store accounts, credit cards, installment loans, mortgage debt, or consumer finance debt. Here is another look at the numbers we just talked about. Some types of credit are better than others. To learn more, go to myfico.com. Now let's talk about some ways to improve your credit score. Pay all bills on time. That is the #1 way to improve your credit score. Think on time, every time. Making payments on time is one of the best ways to restore your credit worthiness. Pay off credit card charges in full before the due date. You don't need to carry a balance to raise your credit score. Just make sure all your payments are on time. The longer you've had the account, the better. New credit is not as good for your score as credit you've had for a long time. And if you do get behind, get current and stay current. Now, let's look at things that have a negative effect on your credit score. You'll want to avoid some forms of credit that may negatively impact your score. Some examples are rent-to-own, payday loans, store accounts, or finance companies. You should avoid using more than 30% of your available credit limit. Try to avoid moving debt from one lender to another. It's better to just pay it off where it is. Avoid opening a great deal of new credit that you don't need just to build your credit report. This can have a negative impact. Finally, don't close unused accounts just to boost your score. It can backfire in the short run. Now, let's review the most important things to remember when rebuilding credit. Use credit only to reach your most important financial goals. Be sure any use of credit fits comfortably into a balanced spending plan. Don't assume that you'll get only inferior loans, and don't rush into credit with less favorable terms. There's a big marketplace, and your credit reports and score will be improving all the time. Once you've taken action to improve your credit report and score, search for a good deal. Give it time, and you will get a good deal, regardless of whatever happened in the past. There's always more than one way to accomplish something. The same is true of rebuilding your credit. Everything we've just covered is the traditional way of basic credit rebuilding. It's based on traditional reports and scores. The problem for many folks is that you must have credit to have a credit report from the three main CRAs. Most people start rebuilding with credit card accounts. But if you don't trust yourself with credit cards or don't want to have them as a temptation, then do not get a credit card or other revolving credit. There are other ways to rebuild your credit. PRBC is an alternative credit reporting agency that allows you to use on-time payments for things like rent, utilities, child support, and daycare to build a PRBC credit report. Unfortunately, PRBC no longer works directly with consumers, but consumers can encourage their utility companies, landlords, and insurance companies to report to PRBC. Many utility companies already do so. To encourage your creditors to report to PRBC, tell them that it is free for them if they use any of PRBC's products. PRBC information is used in the FICO expansion score, which is gaining wider use by lenders. If you are applying for credit, you may want to ask whether the lender will obtain and consider the FICO expansion score or PRBC credit reports. There are some hot tips for rebuilding credit in part 3 of this 3-video set, so stay with me. Once you've gotten your credit reports, corrected all errors, and taken steps to improve your credit score, be patient. Give it a little time for your track record to age, and you'll be glad you took the time to get good credit. Now, please continue with video 3 of this 3-video set about rebuilding your credit.